A Centennial story from the Portland Clinic. The year is 1917, and as the U.S. enters the world's first great war in Europe, 3 Portland physicians were among those who answered their country's call. Dr. Noble Wiley Jones, an internist who owned and operated the flourishing Portland Medical Hospital. Dr. Lawrence Selling, a Yale and Johns Hopkins educated internist who would become widely known for his surgical skills. And Dr. Thomas Joyce, who received his surgical training from the Mayo brothers themselves at the already heralded Mayo Clinic. For Doctors Joyce and Selling, it meant performing surgeries on wounded soldiers at Base Hospital 46 in France, a unit organized by staff from the University of Oregon Medical School. With Major Joyce also serving as chief of surgery, the 10 hospital's 75 doctors and 100 nurses treated thousands of patients and performed more than 600 operations. At war's end, Dr. Selling and Joyce, along with Dr. Jones, who served as an Army combat physician, returned to Portland and formed the partnership which would open Oregon's first private multi-specialty medical clinic, to be ultimately known as the Portland Clinic. Many of the colleagues who would join them in the years ahead also stepped up to serve their country.
The Portland Clinic has always been about service, whether here in the local community or through military service. And we have some outstanding examples of men and women that served our country. We're very proud of that service.
Many served in World War II, among them Dr. Alan Boyden, in a surgical group that treated the most severely wounded in forward areas, including the invasion of Sicily. He was a member of the first medical team at Normandy, arriving within hours of the D-Day landing on Utah Beach.
He was the first medical team in, HR +4. He did the first vascular procedure on the beach. There was a communication from a shrapnel between the artery and the vein that can be a real problem. And that was pretty sophisticated surgery back in 1945 or 44.
Retired surgeon Dr. Roger Alberti adds that Dr. Boyden was awarded the Bronze Star for his service. A Navy veteran himself, Alberti has kept track of the Portland Clinic physicians who served their country, including his own uncle, Dr. Ambrose Bucky Shields, who served with medical units during the invasions of Tunisia, Sicily, Italy, and Normandy, spending time in North Africa as well as in Europe. There was Dr. Arnie Lindgren with the Marine Corps Medical Unit, caring for the wounded through bloody campaigns in Guam and Guadalcanal, and with the second wave going ashore on Iwo Jima. Dr. George Chamberlain, captured in the Philippines and made a prisoner of war, he survived the Bataan Death March, where thousands died, then worked as a physician in POW camps, the last in Manchuria. And Dr. Sam Dyack, chief of medical units in Italy, France, and Africa, among the many who served, and like the others at times, treating enemy soldiers as well as American GIs. "It's when I learned not to hate," Surgeon Bucky Shields would say later. Becoming aware that German soldiers didn't want to fight the war any more than the Americans, Dr. Shield concluded, "It seemed to me their blood was the same color as ours." In later years, Portland Clinic physicians also saw duty in the Korean War and in Vietnam. Dr. Alberti, a naval officer himself before becoming surgeon, spent 34 days submerged in a submarine in the Gulf of Tonkin on a surveillance mission. Still others, doctors, nurses, support staff, men and women of the Portland Clinic took their skills to the military, from Operation Desert Storm to peacetime deployments, whenever and wherever needed.
It's a great heritage. In fact, even today, we have 4 or 5 veterans that are part of our medical staff, and any number of our 500 staff members who have done their part to make this country safe and secure.
A heritage that is kept in mind with the help of a keepsake from long ago. Delivered years later to the Portland Clinic's former longtime CEO, Mike Schwab, himself an Air Force veteran, by the son of one of the clinic's founders.
Dr. Lawrence Selling's combat boots from World War I, and they were bronzed. And he gave them to me and he says, maybe you've got a place to put them as a keepsake for the clinic.
More than a pair of Army-issue combat boots worn by a surgeon, but a reminder of the many men and women who answered their country's call to duty, caring for Americans and others here and far from home for more than a century.
Our doctors and the caregivers that are part of the Portland Clinic were born to serve. And they've chosen to serve here at the Portland Clinic, and during their career they've also served in the military. It's just wired into their DNA, and it's very exciting, and we're very fortunate to have them on our team.